What is up, guys? Welcome to the channel. My name's Micah, and today we're going to be doing a Fender Eliminator on our Indian FTR. These FTRs are such a cool motorcycle, but they have quite the step ladder on the rear end from the factory, so we're going to be taking that off and just really clean up the rear profile of this motorcycle. So I have our new Fender Eliminator right here. This costs $44. I got it off Amazon. I'll put a link in the description to this exact one. And the install should be fairly straightforward. I'll walk you guys through that start to finish and all the tools that you will need. So without further ado, let's rip into it. So this is the huge contraption that we're gonna be taking off. I mean, this whole bracket here, this is quite a sturdy contraption. I've seen people stand on this, but the Fender Eliminator we got is just gonna move all of this up under the tail here. So it's gonna utilize our factory turn signals, and we won't have that anymore. So now the first thing that we're gonna do is unplug our wire harness here that runs to our turn signals and our factory license plate light. So underneath the swing arm here and this license plate, this tail bracket, you're gonna see this cord come in and it goes right into the bracket. You see this little rubber cover here. So with our fingernail, we can kind of just pull out this rubber cover. We'll set that aside, and then we can pull this harness, our wire, out of that bracket a little, exposing the connector here. So and there's just a little tab on this that we can kind of lift up, and then this should unplug just like it did. Now our bike did come with one zip tie right here holding this harness to this bracket, so I am gonna cut that zip tie right there as well, and then we can go about loosening up our bolts here. So we've cut that zip tie that was holding that harness to the bracket, so everything is loose there. So now I'm gonna loosen up these 3 bolts here that just hold this rear tail bracket on. So it's gonna use a size 6 hex key. Just put a ratchet and a deep socket on there to get a little leverage. There we go. Wow, those babies were on there. Last bolt is out. The fender is off. Look at this thing. My goodness, this probably weighs 10 pounds. Oh, that already looks so much better. I mean, this thing is ridiculous. That's what we did have on there, and now that's where we're at. Now, since the bracket that we got will utilize the factory turn signals, we are gonna need to take those out of this bracket. It's just gonna be 3 Torx bolts right here. They're a size T30. So we'll just take this plate off, and then it should expose our connectors that we can kinda unbolt these turn signals and unplug them. There's also a Fender Eliminator kit for these FTRs that does have just an LED strip here that will be your turn signals. So half of it flashes, you know, for your left signal, half flashes for the right, and then it tucks the license plate kind of back towards the motorcycle. So that's made by New Rage Cycles. It's available on Amazon. I'll put a link to that one in the description as well, even though we're not using it. It's gonna be $175. So that's the reason that I elected to just get this bracket that utilizes the factory signals, just kind of has our license plate coming down like this. I just figured for $44, the price of the one that we got, we'll try that out first, and if we want to switch to the other one, maybe we'll get that down the road. All right, so now with those 3 Torx bolts all loosened up, our plate with our signals should just kind of slide off of that bracket, and it looks like I can kind of just pull the whole thing through those pipes. So now we just have that bracket with our wires and the harness. Everything is out of it now. So now as I'm gonna unplug these connectors here, we'll just kind of keep track of which one is to our left turn signal, which one is to our right. And so those just have little connectors that you push down as you pull them out. And voila, our harness is unplugged. So now the turn signals are each held in by one little bolt, one little screw there. So it looks like it's a hex head. I'll see what size it is. So we're just gonna loosen up that bolt, and then our signals should pull out of there. Oh, and so actually this little fender piece that's on there, it just has these little tabs there you can kind of push together, and then that will just pull right off of there. It makes it a little bit easier to get to these signals here. And then that's gonna be a size 5 hex key. So I started it with just a traditional hex key, and I can probably finish with a number 5 on just a screwdriver type end. Yep, that's gonna work a little bit easier. All right, there is one of them is out. Perfect. And now the other one is out. Ta-da! Well, and for now, I'm just gonna leave the license plate light in this bracket. So the Fender Eliminator that we got from Amazon, it does have a license plate light, but I'll take a look at it. We'll get that out here, we'll open it up, see what things look like, and decide if I wanna use that license plate light, this license plate light, or no license plate light at all. Well, and so let's see what this thing looks like. Plenty of stickers in case we'd like the world to know about what brand this was. Looks like we do get a key ring as well. Comes with 4 different little wire covers, 4 little zip ties, and here's the little low profile LED license plate light that the kit came with. So we'll decide if we want to use that. It looks like it just has universal butt splices there as kind of the connectors. So we'd probably have to cut a connector off of our harness, put some splices on the other end so that we could plug those in. All the nuts and bolts for installation. And then it looks like the kit itself is just 3 different brackets here. So it looks like we have our side brackets. So good quality. I mean, it looks like good cuts, good welds, good everything on there. And the other one looks good too. These are pretty lightweight for what they are. And then the license plate bracket. And there is no instructions in the kit, so that's all right. Why would there be? I will be your guys' instructions. Now on these FTRs, as you're looking at the tail, you're gonna see your handhold right here, just below the passenger seat. And just under this handhold, there's gonna be 2 empty bolt holes. So those are an accessory mounting spot that you'll find on your motorcycle. So this Fender Eliminator bracket is gonna utilize those. So we will mount our 2 side brackets on those. So I'm guessing the bolts we have in the kit are the exact size that we need in there. So in order to get to those, we are gonna have to pull off these handholds here, which are just 2 hex bolts there, not difficult at all. We're gonna expose the seat mounting bolts, and I'm gonna take the seat off as well because we have to remember our factory harness here, we're gonna have to reroute that. I'm probably gonna route that under this trellis frame here so that can come out and get to our turn signals and kind of be hidden, kind of look tasteful still. So we're gonna go back to our size 6 hex key to take off the handholds on that subframe. So now that our hand grip is off, that's gonna expose a little silver bolt right there. It does look like that's a size 6 as well. It certainly is, and so those are gonna be our seat mounting bolts, but I'm gonna take the handhold off the other side quick too. All right, so both hand grips are off. We'll set those aside. Now we can go to the seat mounting bolt there. Oh, that's really on there. Get a little leverage on it. Oh man, got it. Perfect, now we'll do the one on the other side as well. All right, now with both of those out, we should be able to remove our seat there. Voila! Well, and so I'll kind of show you guys my train of thought, my logic to this madness, what I think we're gonna do. So we took out a couple little fasteners that hold this harness to the underside of the swing arm. There is still one more fastener back in here that holds it to the base of the swing arm. I don't know if you can see that. So we'll loosen that, we'll get that out of there. And then this whole harness, I think I'm gonna kind of feed back through here and come up in the trellis frame here. So I kind of want to bring that harness up through here, and I'll just stay under the edge of that trellis frame. We'll go under these brackets and we'll bring it kind of up to about here. So there's kind of a bunch of room under here, under this cross member and kind of in the side of that trellis subframe that I think I'll be able to kind of stash my extra wire under there. And then if we look under the tail, so this is our gas tank on those FTRs, right? That's just our air box covers essentially, but our fuel tank is all right here. So under the tail in the very corner here, I can just barely get the tip of my finger up. There's a little bit of clearance there, so I think I'll be able to run my turn signal connectors just down out of the corner of here, and then our bracket's gonna come right off of these 2 mounting spots and kind of be held right here. So that'd be pretty slick if my connectors can come out of here and just meet my bracket right there. That should look fairly clean and tasteful without wires and harnesses kind of everywhere or visible on our bike. We want to make sure it's clean and all those are tucked away. All right, so I've got our harness all tucked into place. So the head of it, you can see, is just right here, and I just have that tucked in kind of alongside that subframe, so it's just tucked into there. I kind of just ran it back up where that harness had come out of, and it just comes up right behind the frame here. You can just barely see the corner of that wire right there. Tuck that back in. So I came up through here under this cross member and then just kind of ran it along the side there. I kind of just pulled this harness all up through, and once I had it to the place I wanted, then I kind of tucked it down in along the side there. So now what I'm gonna do is put our factory turn signals in the bracket that we got. We're gonna get that all assembled and kind of hold that up there. We'll get that secured. We're not obviously connecting all of our wires yet. We do still have that little pigtail that's gonna hook into our harness and then has our different splitters for the turn signals. But yeah, let's get our factory signals in that bracket now. Well, and so I'll show you guys kind of how this goes together. It's really slick and really easy for the factory turn signal. So on your factory signal, you have your wire, you have your mounting bolt, and then you have just this little nub there. So that's just to kind of help line up this turn signal so it's sitting at the right angle. Well, there's a hole on the bracket that we got for that little side nub, so it's perfectly aligned. So kind of how you can do this is just thread in the wire there to that signal, and then I even have the bolt already on there, and so I'll just slip that in, and that bolt will kind of slide up there and find its home. You kind of see how that works, and then that will line up our nub perfectly with that other little hole. So that will be the look of our turn signal on that bracket. So I'm probably just gonna secure each of our turn signals on the two side brackets, and then I will mount those side brackets up. Once I have each of those in, then I'll mount the center bracket, that license plate bracket, across the two. All right, so we've got both of our turn signals installed on those two side brackets. So now I'll install those side brackets. So in your little bag of bolts that you got, you're gonna find 4 larger little short bolts. So those are gonna be the ones that we use to secure our side pieces to the subframe. And those bolts are just a size 5 hex key. So we're just gonna hold that up there as we start those. There we go, goes right into those factory bolt holes. Now I'm gonna get these in, but I'm not gonna tighten them all the way. You know, we're gonna wait to tighten these, to really fasten them down until we have our center, our license plate bracket kind of bridging these two. So we've got both of our side brackets kind of loosely on there, and I was looking at the license plate bracket here. You know, there's holes down here for that license plate light that our kit came with. This one right here. But there's also holes at the top of the bracket that are gonna be a different size. So I was thinking, what are the chances that those would fit the factory license plate light? And they certainly do. So we will be utilizing our factory license plate light with that factory connector. So everything about this is gonna be plug and play. That's super awesome. I always like to retain factory wires and factory connections. So I'm just gonna tighten up our factory license plate light on this plate bracket here. And then we'll put this plate bracket onto our two side brackets there. Voila! So our factory license plate light mounted on that bracket. The one thing I'll say, don't tighten those nuts too much on those studs that come out of that license plate light. You know, they're just housed in plastic. You don't want to break anything. Just get them good and snug and then call it good. Now for mounting this plate bracket on our side brackets, you'll see that there's kind of a recession, 4 different recessions here on the holes for the bolts. So you're gonna find in your kit, in your bag of bolts, 4 different bolts that have a cone head on them. Looks like they're a small hex key, could be a size 4, I'm guessing. So those cone heads are perfectly gonna rest in those bolt holes, and so it will be a flush fit, so our license plate can go on there. You know, the bolt heads aren't holding it up. So I'm gonna put those cone head bolts through. I'm gonna get those up and get those bolts lined up with the holes on our side brackets, and then in your kit you're gonna have a slew of washers and nuts. So then I'm just gonna put a washer on the back side and then cinch 1 nut down on each of those bolts. Well, and so I'll give you guys my perspective as I'm mounting this here. I'm just really gonna do this 1 bolt at a time. So I'm just gonna hold that up, get that bolt lined up with the hole it's supposed to be in. Then we'll snag another bolt, put that one in the other side so that kind of holds itself in place. And then I can grab our other 2 bolts here, kind of get those started and in their holes. And then those bolts are indeed a size 4 hex key. The nuts that we put on the back side are gonna be a 10 millimeter. So with just a little 10 millimeter and then my 4 hex key on a little tool, we're just gonna cinch all those down. So now with our rear license plate bracket all secured, we can go back and tighten down our side brackets all the way now, since that's all good to go. So everything is tightened down and secure. I mean, take a look at this. This is just gonna look so much better than that huge factory fender coming off of the swing arm. So very, very impressed with everything on this kit. So now we still need to hook up our lights, right? Which we haven't done yet. So we have our factory harness kind of routed up through that subframe. I think what I'm gonna do is loosen up this cross member here and loosen up, there's 2 bolts here on the rear of this fuel tank. So once I have this cross beam taken off, I'm gonna loosen up these 2 bolts on the gas tank and see if that won't loosen up that gas tank just enough that I can barely reach in here, lift this gas tank up just a little bit so that I can get enough clearance in this corner just to barely push these connectors through. I just can't quite get those connectors through, but I think if I lift that tank up just a smidge, we'll be totally fine. And then all these bolts here for the gas tank and this cross member are gonna be a 10 millimeter. All right, and the cross member's off. Now the moment of truth to see if this fuel tank will lift up just a 1/4 of an inch for us if we loosen these. So now what I've done here is I took that factory pigtail that goes to our license plate light, both of our turn signals. I kind of just slipped that under the corner of the tank here and have got that kind of routed around here to find the connector on our other harness. So at this point we can just plug those back in. That will be fine there, and I'll probably just kind of run this under here. Kind of just stash that under the edge of that subframe. That looks perfect. So now I think I'm just gonna lift up the gas tank here. We'll push through all these connectors and then I'll hook them up on the bottom and then we'll get them pulled back through. All right, so we've got everything plugged in. Here's that harness, that pigtail that splits into the 3 different wires that we need for our turn signals and license plate light. So if we look under the tail, you can see our 3 wires just come in there. So our right signal kind of on the right side, license plate light I did straight down the middle, and then the left turn signal just kind of runs to the left side. They all kind of come up, and this extra wire here, we're gonna be able to just tuck this kind of right under the edge of this gas tank here. And that should all be fine, and then we can get our seat back on there. Nothing should be pinched or crimped at all. So yeah, wow, that is clean and mean, and that is awesome. That's exactly what we needed. So, parts, we gotta put our cross member back on, seat back on, and then we'll put our little side hand grips on that subframe. All right, guys, we got it all finished up. Everything is tightened back down and in place. Check out our new Fender Eliminator. Wow, that is just so awesome. It looks way better than the big step ladder we did have on back. And the side profile here, very nice, very elegant. I like that a lot, and it cleans up the swing arm. You know, having the rear tire just open and out there looks really, really slick. You know, I don't love the amber factory turn signals, but with where this bracket placed them, they actually don't look bad. So I think this is gonna be the bracket we rock. I don't think we're gonna get the other one. I think we'll just stick with this for a while. So for $44, that just transforms our whole motorcycle. Well, and so I think that's about gonna wrap it up, guys. Very impressed with that tail tidy kit, kind of the no-name Amazon kit. It utilized all of our factory lights perfectly. Everything fits in there like it was just made from the factory like that. So our turn signals, our license plate light, I like how that mounts to the factory accessory bolt holes. And then by the time you put those handles back on there, I mean, everything is just tucked away. Everything has a great look, fit, and finish to it. So like I said, in the description, I'll put links to this exact Fender Eliminator that we got. I'll also put links to that new Rage Cycles one. And the difference there is that that one kind of had your plate tucked back towards the motorcycle. You know, it has a little LED strip that runs the length of the license plate bracket. So in that LED strip will blink either side for your turn signals, so it doesn't use the factory turn signals. You know, it's plug and play, everything will go together. It will be the same process as what you just saw us do here today. But yeah, slightly different finish, and then it is that $175. I mean, click the link, check it out, take a look at it, see what you think. But after getting this one, you know, that uses the factory lights, it was just $44. It looks awesome. It's a 110% upgrade from the factory one. So we're just gonna rock that. It is good enough for me. So guys, like the video if this helped you out, subscribe if you want to see more, and until next time, have a wonderful night, guys.